Reactive training systems.
Single ply bench shirt work lately. Not really with the aim of competing in it or anything like that, anytime soon at least. My principal aim is to see if this has any carryover to my raw bench press. So far I don't know. I mean, I suspect that it has somewhat of a carryover, otherwise I probably wouldn't have tested the idea. But when I've been posting more videos of single ply bench training and just equipped training in general, I get more questions about it, and in particular a question of how do I recommend training be changed for equipped lifting. It's in principle the same problem that you're faced with in any other sort of training scenario. You need to get stronger and you need to develop a specific skill. The changes for equipped training are really a result of the constraints that equipped training puts on the lifter. Now, what I mean by that is that repetition work is much more difficult and even problematic. Also, it takes a lot of weight in order for you to be able to execute the lifts with competition precision. So in order for you to get full depth on a squat, it's probably going to take 90% plus in terms of loading. Same with being able to touch in the bench press. Now, deadlift suits are much more simple things. They don't take as much skill to use. They also don't give you as much carryover, and you're not as limited in terms of loading. So usually the limiting factor for the deadlift is, how tight can you wear your suit, is limited by your ability to get down to the bar. So it can't help you as much, right? So usually what we're talking about with equipped modifications applies to the squat and the bench, but not so much the deadlift. Now, given that it takes more loading for you to reach depth or to execute the lift with legal precision, you have to practice that. That needs to be available to the lifter to practice. So I like to use a lot of singles when training equipped. You need that. You need exposure to heavy weights so that you can use a tight bench shirt. You can use a tight squat suit. And you can actually get depth, and you get used to knowing what good squat depth feels like. You know what changes you need to make to touch a bench wearing a tight shirt, because it's not the same thing. Touching a bench with a loose shirt is not the same as touching a bench with a tight shirt. Excuse me. So I like to use a lot of singles. Now, the other problem that you're faced with is rep work sucks, and how do you do enough work overall, enough volume, so that you get stronger in this movement pattern that you're trying to develop? So the way that I've tackled that is I like to include at least one rep set, usually one, maybe two rep sets at the end of the series of singles. So you may do a series of 3 or 4 equipped singles, and then you'll do one, maybe two rep sets at the end. Now, I'm not shy about the rep work either. For me, in this training block that I'm in right now, I'm doing 80% AMRAP at the end of my singles. So I'm getting 7 or 8 reps in my bench shirt. For I would say more of a competition prep cycle, I will use 5s or sometimes triples. Depends on what the athlete responds best to. But the idea is the same. You need to get some volume in. And yeah, rep work sucks, but it's useful in terms of getting you stronger, and it helps with feeling out the groove as well. So I mentioned that I'm doing an 80% AMRAP, which is producing 7 or 8 reps. I'm not fighting to touch all those reps. I'm bringing the bar down until the shirt binds up, and then I'm pressing. What that helps me to do is, by getting into a good rhythm, rep after rep, it helps me to feel out the groove of the shirt. It helps me to feel what do I need to do with my body to bring that bar down as close as I can because that's going to maximize the elastic return. Okay, so it helps you feel out the groove. It helps you feel out what do you need to do to get the most carryover out of the equipment. It's beneficial in that way. Now, some people like to use boards with their shirts. I don't as much. I could see if you've got a shirt that's really tight and that you're trying to fight for a touch, having some boards can give you something to aim at. You know you're not going to touch it. So if you could fight and get it to touch a one board, then that's better than not fighting as much. However, you need to bring it down as far as you can, and I think boards and equipped partials have a limited value. Now, take the bench shirt off and then do board work. I think that's definitely valuable. Improving your strength in that range of motion is for sure a valuable thing. But doing that work with the boards, doing that board work with the equipment, I'm not so sold on it. However, there are a lot of people that are much better benchers than me who do see a value in it. So I'm not ready to discount it for everybody. I think that, and it could be one of these things where you see an individual difference as well. It's possible that some people get something out of equipped board work and then other people don't. For me, I don't particularly see the value in it, but if I had an athlete that was responding well to it, then that's all I need to know. So those are some of the changes that I make for equipped work. If you'd like to hear more about it, feel free to ask more questions and I'll shoot some more videos.
Reactive Training Systems.